Good afternoon and evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on the Drainage Therapy for Your Practice webinar with myself, Heather Schofield. I'm a classically trained homeopath, and I'm also here at Biomed as the Education Director Medical Advisor, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to you tonight about Nestmann Pharma and drainage therapy in general, and how to easily start introducing this into your practices for maximum benefit for your patients. So just in general to get started, when we're talking about drainage and detoxification, the big thing we need to be conscientious of is toxic chemicals. So in the U.S., and this is where the statistics are, and so they're very reflective of what Canada would also be, there is approximately 80,000 chemicals that are on the market. Many of them are used daily, and these can be all kinds of things like fungicides, pesticides, fertilizers, different ingredients in cosmetics, and a whole huge host that goes on and on and on. Most of these chemicals, they're very understudied and underregulated, and there's also many of them that are known or suspected carcinogens. However, we still get exposed to them potentially on a daily basis. Why we want to consider drainage and detoxification is that there are toxins and chemicals all around us in our environment every single day. The exposure creates an increasing burden on the body. It enters the body through being absorbed, swallowed, or inhaled, and our emunctories or our detox organs are constantly working. Since exposure essentially is unavoidable, our best defense is detox, and that will help decrease our risk towards disease, help to increase our vitality overall, and also to keep a youthful appearance. Just two stats. Again, another U.S. stat, environmental pollutants that were found in everyone, and it was every U.S. resident, is 104. When they looked at newborn umbilical cord blood, they found that there was 287 environmental chemicals detected within this cord blood. So we can see that not only are the bodies, our bodies, human bodies, inundated, but that mother is also passing on to newborn child as well. So again, reasons why we need to consider detoxing and keeping our bodies as clean as possible, and also doing this on an ongoing basis. So just a quick overview of the process of detoxification and elimination. Toxins enter through the lungs, the skin, or the GI tract, so absorbed, inhaled, or ingested. The liver processes them, and then the toxins leave the body through the skin, the kidneys, the colon, or the lungs. And then depending if it's a fat-soluble toxin for things like pesticides and heavy metals, or water-soluble toxins, which could be nicotine and vapors and other types of chemicals, that will get stored in the body. Things like fat cells in the liver and the nervous system, joints, blood, tissue, and muscles. And then you get a whole host of potential setup for types of conditions. And so we see things like rashes on the skin, acne, allergies, joint pain, autoimmune disorders, cardiovascular conditions, fatigue, constipation, diabetes, diarrhea, fibromyalgia, headaches, hormonal imbalances, inflammatory disorders, IBS, neurological disorders, and overweight situations or a hard time losing weight. And so one of the ways of tackling these conditions as part of a protocol is to do some detoxification. So one of our tools is using the Nestmann Pharma remedies. Nestmann as a company, they're based in Germany, and they're known as the drainage people in Europe. Nestmann, they're located in Bamberg. They're family-owned with 6 generations of naturopaths and pharmacists, and they are right near the large medical growing fields for medical plants. And so all of their ingredients are biodynamic and organic, and when they're harvested under traditional medicine techniques, and then they're standardized and of pharmaceutical grade. And so they're they've stayed family run, very good intentions, and very high quality medicine. So just a quick overview again about homotoxicology according to Dr. Weckeweg. So we end up being exposed to toxins, whether they're exogenous or endogenous. They get absorbed into the blood, which then, excuse me. All right, let's start that again. So we're exposed to toxins, whether they're exogenous or endogenous, and then it gets absorbed into the blood. The blood gets filtered through the liver and the kidneys, and in this is where we want the detoxing to happen through the liver, the gallbladder, the intestines, the kidney, the lung, the lymph, or the skin. If the detox organs are not able to take care of these toxins, then they end up getting stored in the connective tissue, which then moves down to the cellular level, has effects on the nucleus and the DNA, and then you end up getting these areas of constitutional weakness that can be caused by these inherent toxins and newly acquired toxins. And then the cycle continues through the blood, the connective tissue, the cell, the DNA, and then continuously hitting kind of this weak spot. And so we all have a constitutional weakness. Some of us it's respiratory, some it's GI, some of it's joint, and those are going to be the areas where symptoms are going to initially or potentially flare. And so detoxification, again, is really important to be able to keep us as healthy as possible. Just talking about Nestmann again, it is recognized in Europe and North America for its outstanding quality. The remedies are very cost-effective. The Nestmann remedies are very cost-effective, and as drainage remedies, they meet the criteria for drainage formulas. One, they increase circulation to a specific area or organ system in the body. And number two, they have a biochemical effect within the body and specifically on that organ. So if it's a liver remedy, it has a biochemical effect within the liver and then also increases circulation to the actual liver. And so this is where these drainage principles or detox principles come from. And so basically, how does it work for drainage? Drainage remedies, they jumpstart the detoxification process. They improve metabolic function, again, by increasing circulation to that organ. It helps to support or allow those constitutionally weak areas to be supported so they're less likely to have symptoms. It helps to clear the pathways for drainage from the connective tissue and the cells. And then Nestmann specifically, the Nestmann remedies are designed to drain, repair, and regenerate. All right. Generally, with the Nestmann remedies, you're going to stimulate the organ function within 20 minutes after taking the remedy. So as I talk through the remedies, there's going to be times where there's specific timing for how to take the remedies, and then some don't matter so much. But when we're especially looking at digestive type systems and the gallbladder and the stomach, there is definitely very specific times, which we'll go through. All right, so just a quick overview of the emunctories, which are also detox organs. You've got primary and secondary emunctories. The primary emunctories, they're the primary detox organs, and they include things like the liver, the kidneys, the intestine, the lymphatic system, also the skin and the mucous membranes. And then the secondary emunctories are the nose, the lungs, the stomach, the pancreas, the bladder, and the reproductive organs. It is really important that the primary emunctories are open and working because this is where the excretion out of the body occurs. And if those organs are not open and working, then the secondary emunctories aren't actually able to drain out into the primary emunctory system to be able to be eliminated from the body. So often when we're detoxing, the first things we're going to look at are the liver and the kidneys and the intestine, and making sure things are moving on that level as well. And then we move into secondary emunctory detox. As I mentioned before, you've got these toxins or residual toxins that can be stored in the connective tissues, so therefore that constitutionally weak area. And we need to keep these routes of elimination open in order to remove the waste material from the body. One of the tools that we're going to be using through Nestmann is the Nestmann Detox Kit. So this contains 3 specific remedies to hit those primary emunctories, the liver and the kidney and the lymph. So A hepatica is a liver drainage remedy. It also supports the intestinal tract and the gallbladder to some degree, or at least the bile. and then the Solidago is for the kidneys, and then the Lymphodrop is for the lymphatic system. I'm going to talk a little bit more towards the end of the presentation about this, but just so you know, this detox kit really makes it super easy for clients and patients to be able to do a quick all-over primary emunctory detox. And so the other types of remedies, which I'm going to be talking about tonight, include the liver remedies, A. hepatica, Cardis, and Cardinera, the kidney remedies, Solidago and Bucco. Not so much the intestines, as Nestmann doesn't have. I'm not going to be talking about the intestines tonight because Nestmann does not have a specific intestinal remedy. However, within Biomed, we do have one that's called colon cleanse. We're going to talk about the mucous membranes with LAPA, the lymphatics with Lymphodrop and also LAPA again. The skin is more a target with the kidneys or the liver. Within Biomed, we do have a skin-specific remedy as well called Luvos. We're going to talk about, in the secondary emunctories, the nose using hydrastis nasal spray, so it's the nose and the sinuses, the lungs with broncha, the stomach with absinthium, the pancreas for rubus, the bladder, Solidago. So while it does work specifically with the kidneys, it's also a bladder remedy as well. And then finally, some more hormonal organ support, including things like female tonic and sabalserolatum. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the liver and liver remedies, or liver drainage or liver detox remedies. And as we're doing this, I'm going to give myself some broncha. So open up kind of my lung and bronchial system, and broncha is actually great at reducing the cough reflex, so we'll see this in action tonight. This reminds me of the time when I was in Europe with Mr. Scholmeyer, who's part of Nestmann when I was there learning about the Nestmann remedies. And he was always reaching into the pocket of his car when we were going to lunch or dinner and taking something. And so I was in the back seat and I couldn't see what exactly he was taking, so I asked him, and it was absinthium. And he uses it as a bitter and also a digestive aid to kind of get things moving. And so it was really interesting to see somebody using the remedy in action, and I've never since then, because of that, forgotten exactly how to use absinthium. And he would just take it straight on the tongue 20 minutes before eating. So we're going to talk about absinthium in a few minutes. Okay, so liver detox remedies. So indicators for needing a liver detoxification. You'll see these types of things in patients: abdominal bloating, pain or discomfort over the liver, increased abdominal fat, trouble digesting fatty foods, acid reflux, heartburn, maybe bad breath, overheating of the body, excessive perspiration, so body running hot or hot temperature, acne, rosacea, itchy or blotchy skin, liver spots, unexplained weight gain, inability to lose weight even with calorie restrictions, craving, blood sugar issues, moodiness, hormonal issues, fluid retention, congested sinuses, chemical sensitivity, a light weight when drinking alcohol, fatigue, unrelieved by more sleep, insomnia with early waking anywhere between 1 and 4 a.m. And so if patients have symptoms that are related to these, this would be a good indicator that liver detox is a must. Also, you can look at the emotional side of things. And so the liver is associated with anger, and things like anger, irritability, frustration, resentment, chronic complaining, fault-finding, and hepatitis. Its emotional meaning is resistance to change, fear, anger, hatred, and rage. The liver, in addition to processing our actual physical toxicity, it is also used to process emotional toxicity. When we talk about Rubimed, often we're talking in the reverse. We're talking about the emotional side and then using liver drainage to support the movement of emotions out of the body. But then when you're also just talking about general drainage and detox, especially liver detox, if there's somebody that does have issues with anger and irritability or these types of things, you can find that that actually, as a detox is happening, it's able to detox these emotions out as well. It's important just to note about phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification. So phase 1 is where the fat-soluble toxins are processed, and types of nutrients that are needed for these types of things are the B vitamins, specifically B2, B3, B6, and B12, folic acid, glutathione, and flavonoids. They get transformed into intermediate metabolites and then move on to phase 2 detoxification, where they're turned into water-soluble waste that can be eliminated via the kidney, the gallbladder, and the intestine, or urine, bile, and stool. So again, this comes back to these primary emunctories, where the liver processes, and then the kidney, the gallbladder, and the intestinal tract is what actually eliminates it from the body. So again, we need to make sure the liver is working well, and then we also need to support the kidney, the gallbladder, and the intestinal system to make sure that's moving well as well, so we can actually excrete them out of the body. In the phase 2 liver detoxification, additional things, there's quite a few amino acids that are needed, glutathione, B vitamins again, vitamin C, folic acid, and choline is also a really important nutrient for that. Okay, so let's talk about liver drainage remedies, A hepatica being the first one. So it's liver detoxification with secondary gallbladder detoxification or bile support and movement of the intestinal tract. So types of things for A hepatica, it helps to stimulate bile flow, increases detoxification of the liver, increases blood flow to the actual liver. Generally, you don't see constipation with this formula, and it helps to regulate secretions in the digestive system. Used for things like chronic liver conditions, that may be things you're seeing specifically, toxic stress due to environmental chemicals, also for chemical sensitive patients, and then just in general, if somebody, you want to do a liver detox on them. So they don't necessarily have to have these types of symptoms, but these are things that can guide you as well. And so the dosing, it's 20 drops in warm water, 20 minutes before meals. So what you want to do is kind of get things moving, wake the liver up, and once you've done that, then once you've eaten, it will help to take the toxins out through the intestinal tract. Second liver detox remedy is Cardis. So it's a liver and gallbladder detox remedy. It specifically has bigger effect on the gallbladder with secondary liver support. This is where you will see constipation. So if you have a patient with constipation and you want to work on the liver and the gallbladder, Cardis would be the one to reach for. It helps to increase bile secretion and bile flow, and also helps to improve fat digestion. If a patient does have small gallstones, then this formula is also going to help to move those gallstones out. So types of things you're going to see. It's a congestive picture and a gallbladder bile picture as well. So things with the gallbladder, the liver, constipation, liver congestion, congestion of the portal veins. So again, you'll see things like varicose veins and hemorrhoids and constipation and like a congestive-y type picture. And then also having difficulty with fat digestion. The dose for this one is 35 drops in water, in warm water essentially, 20 minutes before meals. And this will help to get the bile moving, especially before a fatty meal or a high protein meal. And then the third Nestmann remedy is Cardinera. And so this is another liver detoxification remedy that has a high cholesterol picture and a poor fat digestion or fat metabolism picture as well. It is artichoke extract, and so interestingly enough, Cardinera is a natural alternative to lipid blockers. Lipitor, as a pharmaceutical drug, is essentially synthetic artichoke extract. So we're able with Cardinera to be able to really lower cholesterol levels. And I've seen this in patients over and over again in very simple kind of ways. Address stress, use Cardinera, reduce the cholesterol back into really good HDL range and total cholesterol ratios. So what Cardinera does is it helps increase bile production and flow, improves fat digestion, stimulates intestinal peristalsis, and helps blood flow as well. Due to this positive effect on the fat metabolism, you end up seeing excessive cholesterol and triglyceride values in the blood are lowered. Things to also consider, though, when you're dealing with cholesterol cases is stress. And because stress always can increase cholesterol levels overall. And so Cardinera, generally cases of high stress, functional dyspepsia, which can be pain, fullness, indigestion, bloating, heartburn, belching, GERD, gastritis. And dosing, it's 30 drops, and it can be also in warm water 20 minutes before meals. So all the liver gallbladder remedies are 20 minutes before meals. Just another word on cholesterol. So there's an interesting cholesterol metabolic cascade that can happen. And so the cascade starts where you start to see high stress and the autonomic nervous system going out of balance or autonomic nervous system dysfunction. With this high stress and this dysfunction, you start to see acid-base imbalance. And so you get higher levels of acidity in tissues that should not be acidic. And then that leads to inflammation. The inflammation, especially of the blood vessels, increases the blood pressure. So you start to see high blood pressure. And when the blood vessels start to get inflamed and the blood pressure goes up, then you're going to start to see high cholesterol levels because there could be the micro tears on the insides of the vessels. And so the cholesterol is being used to repair that. And then, because of all of these things, metabolic syndrome, pancreatic insufficiency, type 2 diabetes all start to play a role because things are not being able to be absorbed out of the blood as well, and also blood sugar levels rise and are not actually able to get out to the muscles. And so when you're looking at metabolic syndrome, pancreatic insufficiency, type 2 diabetes, there's quite a few things you need to really, truly consider. And one is stress and reducing stress levels. Two is reversing the cholesterol levels. But through all of that, really looking at acid-base balance, reducing inflammation in the vessels with vitamin C, and as I mentioned, addressing the stress as well. So a really nice protocol that addresses all of these things and can be used in all of these cases is using Cardinera to support the liver and fat metabolism and help reduce cholesterol. And then also using the right C, or vitamin C, which reduces inflammation, especially inside the vessels. And then to reduce stress levels, Avena sativa is one of the Nestmann remedies we're going to be talking about in a little bit. It helps to calm the central nervous system. Or you can use an adrenal support. So we've got ASF, adrenal support formula, or also Adrenum, which we'll talk about in a little bit, which is one of the Nestmann adrenal remedies, plus other lifestyle stress-reducing things like breathing, mindfulness, getting yourself out of the stressful situation, yoga, and those types of things. And lastly, to be looking at acid-base balance and using something like basic powder or basic tabs or Alcala, which helps to give more mineral buffers to the body and then to get the acid base rebalanced. And yeah, so that's a protocol I've used successfully many times with patients and family members to really get them back, and including reversing type 2 diabetes as well, following this biological medicine approach and drainage approach to cholesterol and bigger conditions like that. Okay, so then just a quick differentiation since we've just talked about these liver remedies. A hepatica, generally liver, gallbladder, but no constipation. Cardis is gallbladder with liver with constipation. And then Cardinera, high cholesterol, poor fat digestion, and also liver, gallbladder needing to do some drainage. Okay, so let's move on to kidney detoxification remedies. And so there's two, Solidago and Bucco. We're going to talk about both of these. Dr. Andreas Marks, who's part of Marco Pharma, and was very instrumental in helping to teach Canadians on how to use the Nestmann Pharma remedies when they first came into Canada 15 years ago. He's a naturopath, a European or a German naturopath. And so he talks about the fact that when you're doing kidney drainage and detox, you need to spend at least 3 months with the kidneys because kidneys are slow to regenerate, but they can actually regenerate if you give them the right circulation and nutrients. So it's one of those things to slowly do, but you can actually make some pretty nice effects within the kidneys from a health perspective. So indicators that someone needs a kidney detox. You're going to see things like fluid retention, edema, swollen feet and ankles, maybe swelling in the face, changes in the urine, either in appearance or frequency. It could be difficult urination, urine in the blood, less or more frequent, lighter or darker colors, foamy or bubbly, urgency, or waking in the night with more frequency. And in many of these cases, there may be times where patients need to be referred to have testing done, blood testing to check out kidney function. But these are all types of things that can indicate that there's something going on with the kidneys. Types of other things you might see, nausea and vomiting, feeling tired or sluggish in the day, pain in the legs or the lower back, bad taste in the mouth, itchy rashes, itchy is the key word there, and then anemia. And from an emotional perspective, the negative emotion associated with the kidneys is fear, criticism, shame, failure, reacting like a child, or not having enough strength. Okay, so we've got kidney detoxification. And so essentially, if you need a review, then this is a really great chart that is showing what's happening. So you end up having blood filtered through the renal capsule, and by the way, kidneys are filtering blood 24 hours a day, so the kidneys are always working. Then you end up getting what's absorbed out of the blood and into the kidneys, and there's reabsorption as the urine goes along, reabsorption of water, ions, organic nutrients. You also get further reabsorption of water, sodium and chloride, and then you end up getting secretion of other things like acid and drugs and toxins, and reabsorption of sodium ions, calcium ions, and then the collecting systems. So you may get some reabsorption again of water, secretion of sodium, potassium, hydrogen, and bicarbonate, and then delivery of the urine. So it's really important to keep the kidneys functioning well so that they can continue to detox and be able to excrete out the toxins. Kidney drainage with Solidago. So Solidago is a kidney, bladder, and urinary tract support formula. It brings increased circulation to the kidneys, the bladder, and the urinary tract. It's a very powerful and fast-acting. It works essentially like a catheter in the body, decreases inflammation, helps to increase urine excretion, and helps prevent formulation of crystalline materials. So use it for any type of kidney condition. And it's also a really great remedy in a more acute situation of urinary tract infections, pain, burning, frequency, cystitis, urine retention, and things like that. So dosing, it's 40 drops 3 times a day. If it's an acute situation, then 20 drops in water 5 times a day. The other kidney remedy we've got is Buco, and so it helps with more specific kidney focus, increases circulation around the renal parenchyma, mildly stimulates diuresis, protects the epithelial coating in the urinary passages, has anti-inflammatory, antispasmolytic properties, prevents formation of kidney stones, and has a very mild adrenal stimulant component as well. So it's used for more chronic kidney conditions and also to help prevent kidney stones. And the dosing is 20 to 30 drops in water 2 to 3 times a day. It can also be used long-term, up to 3 months in a row, no problem. Okay, so now we've talked about the liver and the kidney. Let's talk about the lymphatic system. We've got 2 remedies here, Lymphodrop and Lapa. They're both classic formulas to detox the lymph, the blood, and also to do a really nice detox on the connective tissue and extracellular matrix. So indications of needing to do a lymph detox. A stagnant lymphatic system equals toxic accumulation. And so we're going to see things like edema, fluid retention, cellulitis, or inflammation and pain, swollen glands, especially swollen lymph nodes, congestion, lymphedema, sinus, ear, and throat infections. Stagnant lymphatic system can be the root of chronic sinusitis. A weakened or impaired immune system. In women, you may see increased lumpiness in the breasts, and then also multiple chemical sensitivity, lymph, gallbladder, liver, and then things like chlorella, digestive enzymes, B12, methyl B12, and methyl folate are really important to support the detox pathways and get the chemicals out of the body. Negative association with the lymphatic system from the emotional perspective is lost track of the essentials of life, warning for needing balance in life, inability to, or unwilling to forgive, perceived not receiving joy or love from the mother. An interesting fact, depending on individual variation, each person has between 501 and 700 lymph nodes in the body. So again, important to keep that lymphatic system moving. And then from the lymph node perspective, the arterial system ends up bringing blood through the capillaries, and the lymphatic system collects up that blood and then is one of the ways of moving this fluid that's accumulated or reabsorbed out of the capillary system back up into the venous system. And so, again, it's really important to make sure that the system is working really well, and because it is a big immune protector system as well. So, lymphatic support and drainage, it helps to activate the lymph movement in the body, stimulates the immune system, reduces capillary permeability to proteins, which means proteins are escaping out of the capillary bed, so it helps to reduce that, improves general circulation, and helps to promote more elimination of waste and toxic loads in the body. So using, of course, in things like lymphatic congestion, edema, sports injuries, pediatrics, especially recurrent infections, or a lot of lymphatic kind of things within the neck, allergies, eczema, and urticaria, and detoxification. Dosing is actually fairly low on this one. It's 10 drops in water 4 times a day. And then the other lymphatic remedy, which is also a blood cleansing remedy, is called LAPA, blood cleansing and lymphatic stimulation. It increases elimination of metabolic wastes and helps to promote them excreted through the kidneys, the intestine, and the skin, helps to stimulate the lymph, blood cleanses, and it helps as a broad spectrum detoxification. LAPA is a really good remedy to start with if you're not quite sure what to start with. With blood cleansing, so when we're talking about this kind of German phrasing, what it really means is if the body is potentially producing a lot of metabolites and metabolic waste, or people when they have a lot of healing reactions after doing detox or candida cleanse or just kind of in general react very quickly, LAPA, when you put that in, it actually kind of cleans the blood up and cleans up the connective tissue, and so therefore people are less likely to react because they're actually moving things out of their system. 20 drops or 30 drops, up to between 20 and 30 drops in water 2 to 3 times a day. Okay, so then next we need to talk about heavy metal detoxification. There's 2 remedies in the Nestmann line, chlorella and cilantro or cilantrix. So chlorella, it is 100% pure chlorella. It's really, really high quality chlorella. You can tell by the really dark green nutty flavor of the tablet. It's used for heavy metal detoxification, very specifically for mercury, and for all non-neurological structures in the body. So things like the intestinal wall, the muscles, the ligaments, the connective tissues. We're going to talk about a heavy metal detox protocol in just a moment. So you can take it generally or have patients take it generally up to 2,000 milligrams a day, so up to 10 tablets a day, or you can use it very specifically in a detox protocol. Cilantrix, which is cilantro, it's used to mobilize heavy metals. Chlorella is to bind onto heavy metals and chemicals and pesticides. Cilantrix is used to mobilize. So it starts to move things like mercury, aluminum, lead, and tin out of the tissues and also out of neurological structures, so out of the nervous system. It is known to cross the blood-brain barrier, so it can help move stuff out of the brain and the spinal cord as well. And again, we're going to talk about a protocol using this. And so you're using up to 3 tablets under the tongue many times a day. Okay, so when you're prepping for a heavy metal detox protocol, again, from the very beginning when I talked about the fact that it's really important to make sure the emunctories are open, the liver, the kidneys, and the intestine, before you do a heavy metal detox, you definitely need to make sure that the bowels are moving and that you've done some sufficient detoxification for the liver and the kidneys. You can also do this during a detox as well to help support that process as you're helping patients actively detox. So recommendation is kidney, liver, and lymphatics, and also with the intestinal tract, the colon cleanse product from Biomed. And this can be done 1 month before or at the same time as binding of the heavy metals. And then the binding happens with chlorella. So what you want to do is work your patient up, starting at 4 tablets 3 to 4 times a day, 30 minutes before meals, and at bedtime for 3 to 4 weeks. And then once they've done that for about a month, then you can start to add in the Cilantrix. The one thing with Cilantrix, again, is it's a mobilizer of heavy metals. So when you start moving things around, you need to make sure that there's a binder to bind the heavy metals onto. Otherwise, you're just moving heavy metals around the body and you're creating healing reactions. So with the Cilantrix, you start very slowly, 1 tablet 2 times daily, and increase to 2 tablets 3 times a day. You can dissolve it right under the tongue, and you want to take chlorella at the same time you're doing this as your binder. Cilantrix is taken for 1 week on, and then take a break for 2 to 3 weeks, and then go back 1 week on. So what you're doing is you're liberating and mobilizing, and then you're binding. So it depends for duration-wise how long you do a heavy metal detox. It's one of the things, it's a good idea to do it slowly, but then in addition, it can take time. So for some patients, it could be something as simple as 6 months, but there is other patients that could be detoxing for over a year or up to 2 years, depending on what their toxic load is like and how quickly they can actually move and push toxins out of their body. It is recommended that you don't use cilantro or Cilantrix if a patient has amalgams or mercury in the mouth, because this could be a source of mobilization. So finding a good biological dentist to have the amalgams removed is a good recommendation. Okay, and then if somebody does want to have their amalgams removed, then you can use chlorella to help support that. So on the day of removal, 20 chlorella tablets immediately before the procedure so that you've got lots of chlorella in the system to start absorbing. And then immediately after the procedure, sprinkle and crush up the chlorella tablets in the mouth and hold on as a binder, and then spit out and rinse with water, and then can be repeated at bedtime, and then to start following the heavy metal detox protocol. It's also important to be supporting the kidney through all of this. So solidago and buco can be combined together and also be taken with horsetail tea, which is also to support the kidney function. And then to monitor, you can do hair or urine analysis to monitor the concentration of the heavy metals before, during, and after treatments. Okay. So with that said, let's move on to some of the immune remedies. Just before I do that, I'm going to just answer a question that popped up that's relevant to the fact that we're just talking about detox remedies. So Jan asks, would you use Cilantrix if a person has implants like knee, hip, and dental? So Cilantrix, yes, in most cases you definitely would. The big component is you don't want to be using Cilantrix if somebody has amalgams or mercury in the mouth. And Cilantrix tends to move mercury, aluminum, lead, and tin. As far as I understand, most implants do not include these types of metals. And so as long as the implants are not containing these types of metals, then no problem at all to use Cilantrix. Okay, that was a good question. So let's move on to talk about immune remedies. So for the immune remedies, we're going to go through Allernest, Bronca, BioBoost, Lufatabs, and Hydrastis nasal spray. And let me just see that for a second. Bronca. We're going to talk about Bronca for sure in just a minute. Okay, so for allergies, Allernest is a really great formula for allergies. It works like a natural antihistamine. And when you're taking Allernest, because it does work for like a natural antihistamine, it lasts for about 8 hours. And so it's something through the allergy season. Patients can use it to help to reduce the histamine in the body, so therefore less reactive overall during allergy season. It decreases the hyperallergic response, reduces inflammation in the mucous membranes, and it helps to strengthen the cell walls so the cells are less likely to degranulate and get histamine into the system. That creates the reactions. And it works very quickly, often taking it within 20 minutes. You're noticing the beneficial effect. It can be used for all types of allergies. So any types of allergies, including to cats and pets and dander. And so things like hay fever, coughing, sneezing, difficulty breathing, rashes, itchiness of the skin, food reactions, and headaches. Allernest is a really great formula for all of those things. Dosing for acute symptoms, 10 drops in water every 15 minutes, and general dosing, 10 drops in water 3 times a day. Okay, and now I'm going to talk about BioBoost. Just before I do that, though, I just had a question pop here, and I just wanted to mention it. Michael, so with the slides, there is a link in the chat room. You can click on it and automatically download the slides. If not, then I will be emailing slides out tomorrow morning with a follow-up email so everybody can have a copy of them as well. So that's relevant for everybody. I will be doing a follow-up email and include the slides and include some protocols and some other information as well. Okay, so BioBoost. So let's talk about BioBoost. This is the prime season right now for BioBoost. It's immune support. It's a really powerful immune remedy. It increases the body's natural defenses against viral and bacterial infections. And the reason it works for both is because it works on the nonspecific immune system, stimulates the granulopyosis, and increases phagocytic function of the leukocytes. So it basically gets the white blood cells working and stimulates the white blood cells to increase their activity. Where BioBoost is great. So it's general immune, but very specifically, it's really great with colds and the flu and helping to decrease symptoms of the flu and decrease duration of the flu. I know this season, the flu specifically, it's been going around, and I've known a lot of people with it. I also know a lot of people with colds and kind of upper respiratory cough symptoms that seem to be lasting forever. BioBoost is really good gold, and really, honestly, for colds, influenza, and the flu, fever with headaches, lymphatic inflammation, respiratory tract infections, feeling of weakness and exhaustion, inflammation, and acutely 40 drops in water every 4 hours. And this is at the first sign of a cold, or generally 20 drops 3 times a day. And this can be used daily to protect oneself and just to generally boost the immune system. Okay. Bronca. So this is a lung and bronchial drainage support remedy, again, bringing more circulation to the lung and the bronchioles. It's a herbal formula. So Nestmann has a combo of, they're either herbal complexes or homeopathic, low-potency homeopathic complex remedies. This is one of the herbal ones. The herbs that are found in Bronca are some of the most extensively researched and documented in terms of lung and bronchial diseases. It helps to relieve cramps of the bronchial tree. It loosens mucus, increases expectoration, helps to improve oxygen. It's an anti-inflammatory and an antitussive. An antitussive means that it decreases the cough. It's also really great if somebody is coughing and having a cough reflex to really calm that down. And so you see and would use Bronca in cases of bronchitis, acute and chronic, coughs, asthma, flu-like symptoms, infections, lung and bronchial conditions. While it's not a replacement for puffers and steroids, Bronca sometimes can be reached for first in cases of asthma to see if it can calm things down and open up, because it is a bit of a bronchial dilator, to see if that is the first step. If it's not working, then of course to move on to the prescription medications. And so Dosing, it's 30 to 40 drops in water 3 to 5 times a day. And then I have got this lingering cough that I've tried a whole heck of a lot of stuff to try to calm it down. It's definitely a lot better than it had been. Even each week it's getting better. But for those of you that were on the webinar at the very beginning, you may have noticed that I was coughing a lot, and so I ended up taking some Bronca just as I was on the phone, or as we're kind of on here talking, and it probably improved it by 3/4. So I can actually talk without coughing every 2 seconds. So anyway, so Bronca, that was a real live listen to of how Bronca really can work. And so yeah, so it's one of my favorite lung bronchial remedies, and the first one I always reach for with all my patients. Okay, so with that said, we have 2 more remedies to talk about in the immune category: Hydrastis nasal spray and loofah tabs. So the Hydrastis nasal spray, it is used to basically spray or spritz right up the nasal passages and into the sinuses. So it's used for sinusitis, chronic rhinitis, drippy noses, allergies, laryngitis when you're getting a lot of postnasal drip, also infections in general in the sinuses, and it helps to stimulate secretion in the mucous membranes of the sinuses. It decreases inflammation. It helps preventing out of the nasal mucosa. And it has antimicrobial effects as well: antiviral, antifungal, antimicrobial, antibacterial, because of the Hydrastis. So it's really a really wonderful nasal spray that is very, very effective. I know practitioners right across Canada that have patients with chronic sinusitis and chronic conditions, and they find it's just a lifesaver. And they'll come back and make sure that they always keep a bottle on hand for when they're running into symptoms. So dosing-wise, it's 1 or 2 squirts or sprays up each nostril several times a day. One thing to keep in mind is that sometimes it can burn. If it is burning, it's just an indication that there's actually active inflammation happening in the sinuses. And so as each day goes by, the burning decreases, and the patient then can know when symptoms are really much better. Loofah tabs are a little bit different. They're also for sinusitis. But instead kind of more of a chronic sinusitis. So not so much for nasal and allergy symptoms, but more specifically for the sinuses. They help to decrease inflammation, decrease the lymph nodes and tonsils, stabilize the sinubronchial complex, and stimulate secretion of the mucus, and facilitate expectoration. They're in tablet form, so they can go right under the tongue, and you dissolve 1 tablet 3 times a day. All right, so then let's look at a few more Nestmann remedies here. So we've got GI remedies, absinthium and rubus, and those will be the next ones that we talk about. Just before that, I see that there's a few questions that have come up, so I'm going to just see if I can answer these before we continue on. And so there's a question here about detox. One second here. For vaccination detoxification. So we don't necessarily have a specific Nestmann remedy that would be for working on specific vaccine detoxification. However, the first thing to be reaching for would be the LAPA. And then also to just do a regular detox kit, so liver, kidney, lymphatic, just to generally get the body and the detox pathways moving. And then adding LAPA in because that really gets into kind of the deeper general detox and also the connective tissues. Okay, so Kimberly asked if you consider using Allernest to calm the system with somebody who has a lot of allergic responses to a wide range of foods while you heal the gut. Absolutely, Kimberly. Allernest really does help to calm food reactions to food allergies, And so it would be a really good one to have in while you're working on healing the gut and then just generally decreasing the allergic response overall. The other thing you would definitely want to make sure you've got in there is working with one of the acid-based remedies, because an an acidic body is an inflamed body, is a reactive body. So acid-base balance is really going to help to allow some of that healing to take place and also to make somebody less reactive. So Allernest plus an alkalizer like basic powder or basic tab or Alcala plus your gut healing protocol would be awesome. The other thing I would add in there, if you haven't already, is from our Pleosanum line, Pleoribosan. It works at restoring the Peyer's patches, which are the gut-associated lymph tissue. So again, really helps to repair leaky gut and also to generally get the gut healed better and less response reaction, and also strengthen the immune system and I guess the lymphatic system as well. Okay, thanks for those questions. And then there's one more that I'm just going to touch base before we get into the GI remedies. Jan just asks about Nestmann no longer available in the U.S. So technically, Nestmann is very available in the U.S., but the U.S. practitioners have to go through Marco Pharma, which is the U.S. company that supplies the Nestmann remedies in the U.S. And then Biomed, we supply the Nestmann remedies in Canada for Canadian practitioners. There are a few Nestmann remedies that we carry that Marco Pharma does not, and so those are remedies that U.S. practitioners are allowed to get from us. That includes the detox kit and Adrenum, which I haven't talked about yet, and Lymphodrop, and then there's a few others as well. And so that is the reason for that. Okay. And Bernadette also asked just about dietary histamines. So this is just as I was mentioning and answering to Kimberly and her question. Allernest is, again, a dietary histamine. It basically reduces histamines in the entire body. So Allernest would be your remedy to reach for when you're dealing with dietary histamines. Okay. GI remedies. The two that we're going to talk about are absinthium and rubus. So absinthium is a really great one for heartburn, acid reflux, and GI symptoms. It also is a bitter herb that's used as a daily digestive aid. Mr. Schollmeyer, he's the one that was using absinthium, and he had it in the pocket of his car before lunch and for dinner, and would use it as this daily digestive aid. In addition to as a digestive aid, what it really does is it helps to normalize digestive gastric juices, the hydrochloric acid specifically in the stomach. Absinthium is a stomach formula. It helps to increase blood flow to the stomach, so therefore you get that effect. And what it helps to do is increase hydrochloric acid production or get it normalized within the stomach. And that's where you get this benefit for things like heartburn and acid reflux and indigestion and lack of appetite. A lot of the time it's due to low hydrochloric acid, so this really helps to improve hydrochloric acid production overall. And then it helps with inflammation. Hydrochloric acid is really important for protein digestion or getting the pepsin to pepsinogen. It's really important for turning on intrinsic factors so you can absorb B12 and also to absorb some of the other minerals like iron. Hydrochloric acid is really important as an antimicrobial, an antiparasitic, and to help keep hydrochloric acid under control. It's really important for chelating minerals so they can be absorbed. And so absinthium becomes this really, really important remedy at the top of the digestive system to really make sure that a lot of good absorption is happening. Interestingly enough, a lot of vegetarians and vegans, especially if there's very limited meat consumption or no meat consumption, the hydrochloric acid sometimes can become low just because it's not actually being secreted because there's not necessarily a lot of protein being eaten. And so therefore, vegetarians and vegans, a lot of the time you can see things like low mineral absorption or absorption issues. And sometimes it's because the hydrochloric acid isn't actually functioning as well as it could. So absinthium in those cases is really important as well. there was a webinar in July of 2018 that we did on stomach health, and so what I would encourage everyone, if you didn't actually listen to that webinar, to tune in on the archived webinars. It really goes into lots of good details about absinthium and hydrochloric acid in the stomach and the importance of the stomach, and kind of, again, starting at the relative top of the whole digestive tract. Low zinc can also, oh yes, of course, also for low hydrochloric acid in vegetarian vegans, low zinc can also be an issue, and or if there's absorption issues and not absorbing zinc very well, which can then lead to other things like sensitivities to food, which causes inflammation, which causes zinc not to be absorbed very well. So that whole cascade, of course. Great comment, Bernadette. Okay, so absinthium then, acutely 20 drops in water until symptoms resolve. Instead of having patients reach for Tums, they can reach for the absinthium. It will actually work much better for them. And then generally 15 to 25 drops before meals in warm water to get things, the digestive system and the bitter component, getting things moving. So just a quick heartburn acid reflux protocol. Without going into a lot of details, acid-base balance is really important because a lot of the time they supply the raw material for hydrochloric acid production. And so by supplying the raw material through the bicarbonate, you're going to end up giving the right ingredients for hydrochloric acid, the chloride molecule, to be able to be formed, and hydrogen, and then it helps to increase and promote stomach mucus secretions. So for acid, or for heartburn and acid reflux, it's really important to have an alkalizer in the mix, and then using absinthium as a digestive aid, as a bitter, and also to improve hydrochloric acid production. And then if you need some symptomatic relief, absinthium sometimes can really do the trick, or you could use something like Luvose powder, which is a buffer and very alkaline to kind of soak up all those excess toxins in the body. Okay, and so the other GI system remedy to talk about is Rubus. Rubus is a pancreatic support and maintenance formula. Basically, it helps to stimulate the islet system in the pancreas. So this is stimulating hormones insulin and glucagon, and it also increases pancreatic secretions. So again, digestive enzymes and also hormones like insulin. Helps lower blood sugar by regulating sugar metabolism via the liver, kidneys, and intestine. So Rubus is used in pancreatic conditions, hyperglycemia, mild diabetes mellitus or type 2 diabetes, metabolic disturbances, and helping to promote digestive enzyme production. 20 drops in a tablespoon of water twice a day. And this remedy, I would encourage all of you for your type 2 diabetic patients to add it into the mix. Because it's really going to help support the pancreas. And I always say they'll be looking behind what's going on with patients, like what are the root causes, and getting in and really supporting the organs. Rubus is going to help more blood flow to the pancreas, so you're going to be able to support the pancreas in a healing fashion and not just going after kind of things like poor insulin production or it not being absorbed or kind of getting into the muscle cells, but really getting the pancreas working better overall. Okay, we're going to talk about one cardiovascular remedy and then one we've already talked about. So Aeschylus is a cardiovascular remedy in the Nestmann line. It promotes vascular circulation, so improves the peripheral circulation, specifically to the extremities, and then it helps strengthen the venous wall for venous circulation, helps to support the vessels, and reduces congestion in the portal vein, which has to do with the liver. So peripheral circulation disturbances, people with chilly hands and feet or poor circulation to the extremities, and then other things like venous congestion, edema, varicose veins, hemorrhoids, tingling and numbness. Those are all indicators that you'd want to use Aeschylus. Its key ingredient is horse chestnut, which is a very vein-supportive health botanical. And so daily, 20 drops 5 times a day, and then when symptoms improve, reducing to 25 drops 3 times a day. Okay, and then we did talk about LAP already, so we're going to move into some specific organ support. And then this is the last group of the Nestmann remedies that we're going to be talking about tonight. Adrenum is the first one. And adrenum, it's adrenal support. It's used for exhaustion and fatigue, adrenal burnout, stress or feeling frazzled, weight gain or having a hard time losing weight, which often is related to the adrenals and stress and cortisol production, a 3 p.m. crash, or interestingly enough, this might be really good new information. If you've got patients that are waking and having sweats or kind of heat at between 4 and 5 a.m., that's often an adrenal burnout heat. So it's not a hot flash and it's not menopausal symptoms, but instead it's an adrenal support thing or needing adrenal support. And other things like sugar and salt cravings. So use in cases of physical and mental exhaustion after long periods of stress, adrenal burnout, and exhaustion. This remedy is not an adrenal stimulator. It is a regenerator and healer. It has a lot of really nice ingredients in there that are working to support the adrenals and to heal them on a very deep, deep level. And so it's really great in this really deep healing stage for adrenal support. And dosing, it's 30 drops 3 times a day. Okay, and then female tonic. I'm going to guess that at least half of you listening right now have tried female tonic, or maybe even more. It's such an amazing hormonal balancer. It is a complex homeopathic remedy, and it helps to regulate the hormones. So it helps to regulate the hormones, increases circulation to the female organs, and is just an overall tonic both for women, like women's menstrual health, all the way through PMS and menstrual health to menopausal health. It helps to stimulate the liver, which is really important to get out excess estrogen. It supports the body in exhaustive states, and it's really indicated in menopausal symptoms. So types of things would be mental and physical exhaustion, sleeplessness, menopausal disturbances like hot flashes, night sweats, dryness, low libido, and then PMS-type symptoms. And it really just works to kind of get things rebalanced out as a really lovely tonic. The dosing, it's 1 tablespoon, 2 to 3 times a day. All right. And also, I've had patients where they've started taking this and within 1 or 2 days are noticing huge differences. And it's something that somebody can be on for quite some time, often kind of as a tune-up as they're working through deeper kind of protocols. And I know some women that just love it so much that they just like to keep staying on it on and off like month after month because it just makes them feel so good. So I just wanted to do a quick protocol here on hormonal acne. So this is the hormonal acne. You want to be looking at balancing the hormones and getting the liver working better to be able to detox and also move the excess estrogen out of the body. Work on supporting the adrenal system, and then if topically needed as a skin cleanser and to soak up the excess oil and toxins, Luvos powder is really helpful in the Biomed line. So female tonic works as that hormonal balancer. A hepatica works at the liver and gallbladder detox and increasing bile. Adrenum is adrenal and stress support. And then finally the Luvos as a topical application to help soak up toxins from the skin. Okay, a few more organ support remedies here. Lycopus is a thyroid support. It helps to modify and support the thyroid and thyroid activity. It increases circulation to the thyroid gland, which is actually really important. Helps to regulate thyroid function, and it can be used in hyper or hypothyroid type pictures. And you can actually do some customized dosing with this as well. So when there's symptoms that look like they're a hyperthyroid or a hypothyroid type symptom picture, then this would be often the remedy that you would want to reach for. So for general dosing, 5 drops in water 2 to 3 times a day, And then once improvement is, it's just 1 drop a day. It's not, you don't need much of this formula to have a really beneficial effect in the body. For hyperthyroid type symptoms, 5 to 8 drops 3 times a day. For hypothyroid symptoms, 15 to 25 drops 3 times a day. And then if you want to customize, I'm happy to show you how to customize. It's also indicated in the Nestmann compendium. Basically, you're adding 1 drop a day until you get a tachycardia type symptom, and then you move it back a few drops, and that's where you've got your customized dose for your patient. Okay, polygonum, it's a joint support formula. And if you're seeing patients with gout, then this is one you need to keep on the shelf. This plus solidago, and then an acid-based balance remedy, and maybe a systemic enzyme, that's going to take care of your gout patients within days of getting symptoms better. I've seen polygonum plus solidago work within about 3 days, and really quite amazing. And then keeping things, and especially the tendency towards it, reduced and eliminated. So polygonum, it generally for joints, it reduces inflammation. It helps to increase the excretion of uric acid and improves circulation flow of the capillaries and the tissues overall. So any joint symptoms, arthritis, rheumatism, spine, vertebrae, and gout, specifically gout. And so as I mentioned, if you end up seeing patients with gout, then you want to keep this on your shelf because this is going to end up helping your patients out so quickly and so immensely. So for general dosing, it's 15 to 25 drops 3 times a day. And then in acute dose, so this is acute inflammation of the joints or arthritis or gout, 15 drops in water every few hours. As I mentioned with gout, also include with solidago and then basic tab or basic powder because gout also is a function of acidic body and a reactive inflamed body. Okay, and then we've got Sabal ceralatum, and it's a prostate support formula. It's known as the homeopathic catheter, so it really kind of opens things up, increases circulation to the prostate gland, and helps to really kind of bring inflammation down so that urine can flow again. It also can enhance libido. So it's used in prostate conditions like prostatitis or enlarged prostate with difficult urination. And it also can be used with acute bladder symptoms and ovarian pain. So general dosing, it's 25 to 30 drops in water 3 times a day. If you're dealing with an acute prostate inflammation, then 10 drops every half an hour until symptoms improve. And that can be done up to 12 times a day. And then we're going to talk about the nervous system, Avena sativa. And so Avena sativa, its main ingredient in here is oat, and it helps to calm the central nervous system and helps to calm nerve conduction and just overall allows people to handle stress better and gets their nervous system chilled out. So any nervous system conditions or symptoms that are associated with that, so restlessness, nervousness, hyperactivity, insomnia, having a hard time getting calmed down, and then also has a whole picture about kind of like hypochondria, hysteria, and kind of calming everything down. It's very, very helpful. So generally dosing 30 drops in water 3 to 5 times a day. And as a sleep aid to calm the central nervous system, you can take 40 to 60 drops in water before bed. Okay. And so then just a quick review of what we've just talked about. So the Nestmann Pharma detox remedies or drainage remedies through the primary emunctories, you've got liver remedies, A. hepatica, Cardis, and Cardinera. For the kidneys, you've got Solidago and Bucco. For the mucous membranes and blood cleansing, you've got Lapa. For the lymphatics, you've got Lymphodrop and also Lapa. For the nose, you've got Hydrastis nasal spray, and also for the sinuses, plus Lufatabs. For the lungs, you've got Bronca. For the stomach, you've got Absinthium. For the pancreas, you've got Rubus. For the bladder, you've got Solidago. For the reproductive organs, you've got Female Tonic and Sabal ceralatum, which is for the prostate. And then you've got Polygonum for the joints and Adrenum for the adrenals. And finally, we've got two more things I wanted to mention. So let me just flip here first. So if you don't have this as a resource, we do have the Nestmann Pharma Compendium available. And within this compendium, it details each of the Nestmann remedies in huge amount of detail, more detail than what the slides were tonight. And then in addition to that, it talks about drainage and detox. It has lots of good information about Nestmann. There's quick reference charts to determine if a patient has this, what remedy to choose. And then finally, there's very detailed protocols as well for being able to use Nestmann remedies very easily. A lot of the time, Nestmann remedies, you only need one. You don't need to necessarily do a big combination of them. We do, of course, have it in a combination in the detox kit. So as I mentioned before, the detox kit, it's really great at opening those primary emunctories and getting the detox process happening. Liver, kidney, and lymphatic system is the focus on that. The A hepatica also is very useful for the gallbladder and the intestinal system. So you've got kind of this all-in-one, get the detox organs moving and kind of do a really good initial cleanse with patients. Depending on your patient and depending on how much detoxing they've done in the past, they're going to need to be doing anywhere between 1 kit to 3 kits. And so like 1 to 3 months. And also depending if they typically detox yearly, then maybe they just need to use this as a tuner-upper. However, if it's the first time they've ever done it, it may take a little bit more time because from the beginning of the slide, we're exposed to a lot of toxins on a daily basis. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting all of our detox organs so that we can move things out. And then allow our bodies to do the job that they need to do and detox us and keep us healthy and keep us in balance and regulation. And so with that said, if you've got any questions, we've got a little bit of time to answer some of those. And so I see that there's some questions coming in now. How can we get the Nestmann book? So the Nestmann Pharma Compendium, it is a resource that we have through Biomed. We can include a physical book, which is the compendium, so that can be added into your next order. Or there also is a PDF online that you can download and be able to see immediately. And, okay, so that answers that question there. Okay, so with Nestmann being given to cancer patients, whenever you're working with cancer patients, of course, you need to be really careful with drainage and detox. However, often if the situation is correct and you're working with the cancer process, drainage and detox is often a therapy that's added in there. And the detox kit with the 3 remedies that are in there, often there is no contraindications in working with patients that are in the cancer process. So Sonia, I hope that answers your question. Cheryl, could children use the detox kit? Dosing. So yes, children absolutely can use the detox kit. Again, there's no contraindications for those 3 remedies with kids. Generally, you wouldn't want to be doing it with a child under 6 unless there's very specific conditions going on. And in that case, you may want to be customizing things. For a child that's over 12, you'd be doing an adult dose, and anywhere between 6 and 12, you'd be doing half the recommended daily dose. Lymphadrop, that can be actually a Nestmann remedy that can be used in younger children as well. Often lymphatic drainage is really important in younger kids that are having a lot of symptoms that are food-based or like asthma, lung, respiratory, ear infections, sinus stuff, frequent colds, allergies. A lot of the time the lymphatic system is just overburdened in young children. So using Lymphadrop, it's definitely safe to be using in young children as well. Tony, for the lactose, I know Lufatab specifically has lactose in it, and I believe Cilantrix does as well. Because these are Nestmann remedies, they would be German-derived. However, with that said, I'd have to look up the source material for you to let you know specifically because I don't have that off the top of my head or kind of in my notes. But definitely, I can get back to you. If you don't hear back from me, then email me, heather@biomedicine.com, just to remind me of that question. Okay, and so then I think that looks like that's the end of it. If you are able to see the chat room, the Nestmann Compendium PDF link has been posted into the chat room, and so you can always click on that, and that will download it for you. I'll make sure that I include that link also in the follow-up email so that you have that all. And with that said, thanks so much for joining us tonight on talking about drainage therapy for your practice using the Nestmann Pharma remedies. It's something I've been using the Nestmann remedies for 15 years, and I use them in almost all patients. For the way that I work as a homeopath, I do a lot of biological medicine. I do a lot of work emotionally with patients. I use a lot of Nestmann remedies to help facilitate moving emotions out of the body, supporting certain organs, and then also I use a lot of drainage and specific things to kind of work on that detox level and to really improve body regulation overall. And that combination of those three things has led to huge amounts of success with patients. The other thing with Nestmann, and I've always been really impressed with the fact that it has stayed a small family-run business. They are very intentional about having some of the highest quality ingredients that you can get from European drainage remedies. And so you will not go wrong with introducing these into protocols with your patients. Take care, everybody.